Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Look at this tweet. XRP price prediction at 1.2 billion trading volume sends XRP into green. Big move coming, question mark. The XRP price has risen 0.5% in the past 24 hours, which is no big deal. But the $1.2 billion trading volume, I hope there's a big move coming. Sounds good. Let's hope. Today at 1 o'clock, John Deaton is going to be doing a what is this? Are they doing a? Yeah, they're doing a Twitter Spaces on Uphold's Twitter account at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and I guess John's going to be talking about some of these cases that have been happening and maybe potential settlement, like post-judgment settlement. Maybe I'll go on there and ask him a question or two. We'll see. Check this out from the Black Swan Capitalist. They had this Clive Thompson, renowned former wealth manager, sheds light on Ripple's global presence. He's talking here about what he hears from his contacts about Ripple.
On your side, I'm very much hoping that Ripple, for example, Ripple Labs Inc., I'm talking about the company and the associated token XRP, I'm very much hoping it becomes big like Amazon or Google or Apple. In other words, too big for the SEC to have a fight with. And also, as you say, I'm hoping that the train has left the station. I haven't followed it enough to know all about it, but I have been met and spoken to by countless people who tell me exactly what you're saying. So what you're telling me is a very popular opinion, and I'm inclined to believe it.
We've been fortunate to have time on our side and resources to pretty much do that. So that's why our opinion is very strong on one side, where we think it's going.
I can tell you, you're not alone. I hear the same thing from a lot of people who really do know their stuff.
That's interesting. Okay, Stuart Alderati. Now, folks, let me tell you what this right here is that you're looking at. This is what we call going, I'm writing it down for a thumbnail. This is what you call going nuclear. When you see Ripple's general counsel say this, things have just gone nuclear. This confirms for me that Ripple and Stuart Alderati and truly are at odds with the Andreessen Horowitz crew and those guys, even though Andreessen Horowitz was an investor in Ripple. This is what he says. Crypto critic ex-SEC official John Reed Stark says there should be an investigation into Bill Hinman. This is broader than Ripple. There could be potentially serious conflicts of interest by a government official. An investigation will either put it to rest or hold folks accountable. SEC official Bill Hinman was corrupt. Not my words, somebody else's words. Yes, I have read that Bill Hinman may have acted unethically or even unlawfully, at least according to some reports. The FBI should investigate so-called Hinman emails. And if the evidence shows unlawful conduct, DOJ should prosecute. And then he talks about how this is just a deflection away from the legal analysis. Well, guess what? It all has to do with everything. So you got Stuart Alderati calling this guy out. Then you got John Deaton who's retweeting it, and John goes through all of this. As for a year, I called out the Hinman conflicts. He talks about all of us uncovering ETHgate and how Empower uncovered the fact that Hinman did violate this U.S. code. And so John goes through all of it. Maybe John will talk about some of that on his thing today. Then I saw this going around yesterday. This was my timeline that I put together during ETHgate, where I had all the timeline of all the meetings that occurred, in red in this particular one. I had inserted the things that we found out about what Katie Hawn had been doing and what meetings she was in and all of that. And I think she's one of the people who's gotten the least amount of attention on this thing, but should get a lot more, because if you remember, she ended up at Andreessen Horowitz, then left. But anyway, that timeline is in my Twitter feed if you wanted to go look over it. Then we've got Mike Novogratz. Bloomberg thinks it's a great idea, of all the people on the planet, that with his Luna tattoo, to have Mike Novogratz on, because of course he still has such credibility in crypto. I can play it. Let me hit the old refresh button. There's 2 clips from him.
Now, Coinbase is one of the best known companies in the crypto industry. It makes markets for people that want to trade in crypto. But the SEC has recently taken action against Coinbase and argued that it's doing things that are illegal. What is your view on that?
Listen, I think Brian Armstrong is brave, and it's an interesting strategy to fight this in public. He's like, this is unfair. And what he's saying, in essence, what I just said, the rules weren't clear. The approach from the SEC to regulate through enforcement and to really thwart our industry, which feels like it's come from Elizabeth Warren and Sherrod Brown and maybe Lael Brainerd and a few people, we called it Choke Point 2.0 operation, seems obvious and is just un-American. And it feels like
those are all the people that your side of he's big fan of all those people, but now they're attacking his own industry.
Crypto community is tough and resilient. One of the things I learned is these communities don't go away. They believe, I have a tattoo of Bitcoin. There is a religious zeal to people.
They don't go away, because we uncovered ETHgate. That's why they don't go away. Now, I never saw him expressing any of this when it was just Ripple being gone after, by the way. But here, Mike Novogratz is asked about Satoshi Nakamoto, and I said up here, I'll bet you dimes to donuts that Mike Novogratz knows a lot more about Satoshi Nakamoto than he lets on. Because remember, he refers to himself as an inside guy. He operates on information that you and I don't have.
Who the inventor of Bitcoin is?
Well, Satoshi Nakamoto is
the
inventor. Nobody knows. And quite frankly,
that David Rubenstein, if anybody's a government spook, that guy is. If anybody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is, that guy and Mike Novogratz would have a clue. Guarantee you.
I think if we knew, Bitcoin might not be where it is.
This is the whole game, folks. You think these guys haven't seen that Homeland Security video? You think they don't have friends in high places that they could talk to and find out about this?
Like, what gives something value isn't the technology, it's the social construct. You say it's valuable, I say it's valuable, therefore it's valuable. And I think if we knew who the inventor of Bitcoin was, we'd be a little more skeptical of saying,
you think? You'd be skeptical, because then it's automatically security. Because then you have the central parties at that point.
I'm going to buy into this as a place I store my value. Like, there's something about the mystery of not knowing who Satoshi is.
Yeah, there's something about the lie of everybody not knowing who Satoshi is. Well, turns out this guy is right over the target, because he's telling the truth.
Commodities to be again inexpensive. So there are always opportunities. But I would avoid having all my money in the US.
One last point, when you were speaking about your fears, of course, was thinking central bank digital currencies in my mind. Is that one point you were alluding to?
Well, I think the cryptocurrencies is an interesting phenomenon that arose because of excessive money printing by the Fed. And don't ever think that it was created by a poor fool in Australia called Satoshi. This is organized. I am sure the founders of Bitcoins are the same that founded the Federal Reserve in 1913.
There you go. He just said that the same people that created Bitcoin are the people that were in that room in Jekyll Island, if you didn't catch that. She makes him go back to it here in a second. Watch this.
in cryptos than in precious metals.
Wait, I want to expand on this, your theory that this may be a Fed creation from Jekyll Island. If it is a gimmick, what's it a gimmick for? Is it a distraction? What would be the end game?
The end game
Why would they
is
have
that
created
you
it?
have a cryptocurrency that is essentially backed by the US government, and some kind of a electronic currency would have some practical applications. Like at the present time, you want to send me money because you feel that I deserve some charity from you. You know, you have to go through the banking system and this and that. With the crypto system, you can just credit my account. And so it can simplify life. But the danger is, of course, that the cryptocurrency is abused and that it permits central banks to print even more money and without any visibility.
All right. So I'm not going to go through this, but this was from Ripple. Ripple's Brad Chase sat down with Blockchain Show. You can go and listen to his thing. He's talking about unlocking crypto liquidity. Now, then XRP Darren apparently had Mark Yusko on. This is an interesting clip.
You know, we're in this macro fog right now. There's a whole bunch of people who thought we were going to be in this big recession, and it didn't happen. And now the Fed's saying there is no recession, and interest rates are still rising, and now long rates are rising, and that's usually a sign of economic strength ahead, not weakness. And so, well, what happened? Well, we had a recession. We had a recession last year. It was just a shallow one, and it was barely noticed, but they didn't call it a recession, and that's their prerogative. They don't have to call it. They're not going to call it. But it's the same as 01, right? 01, you know, the economy grew 1%. We grew 0.9 in 22. Markets were down 20. That's what happens in a recession. And so we kind of had it. So now we're recovering, and the Fed and China and everybody else is stimulating around the world, and global liquidity is rising, which means that's a tailwind for digital assets and other scarce assets. You know, I don't know if you saw the video. The guy got the one of one Lord of the Rings, Magic the Gathering. Yeah. Okay.
And then check this out. Blockstream CEO Adam Back has publicly declared a wager of $1 million bet that the price of Bitcoin will reach $100,000 before the next halving in 2024. 1 million, that's a thumbnail and a half. $1 million bet. Wow. I like it. Thanks for the thumbnails. Now check this out from Gemini, which is the Winklevoss brothers. Me, the intern, patiently waiting for Gemini to list XRP. I want some. Okay, this is interesting, folks, because look, this is that guy named Brock Pierce. He's an OG. He was one of the guys that was around. I don't know the exact story, but he was around at the beginning, Bitcoin and all this stuff. Look, there's a handful of people in this industry that I've always thought at a minimum were working for the government in some kind of way, and he's one of them. Jed McCaleb comes to mind. Jed McCaleb, these guys are untouched. They can issue tokens at will. I don't know how many tokens this guy's been involved in issuing. One of them's EOS. One of them's Tether. And I don't know what I think Mastercoin was another one. This guy's a serial crypto issuer, but government never goes after him. They don't even do anything over Tether. They might do things that appear like they're going after him, but then nothing happens. There's a settlement. Like EOS, I think, EOS was not a lawsuit the way that Ripple was a lawsuit by the SEC. EOS, I think, was just like something that was settled, as I recall. Don't quote me, but but this guy just kind of does what he wants, and you know. Anyway, here he was on Thinking Crypto, and he puts out this video, but he leaves something out from the interview, and it caught my attention. He puts this out to make Tether sound, oh yeah, it's just innocent. Here's what we did. We're being transparent.
How did the idea of Tether and building a stablecoin come about, and Tether being the largest stablecoin in the market, and birth it out, just more stable?
No, the question is, How has the government not come after you with everything that they've got? That's the question. And I believe that's also the answer. Because who else did the government not go after and just let them do their thing until it fell apart on its own? FTX. All these things that are offshore, all these things that if you and I did them, we'd be under the jail, but nobody goes after them. That's a tell. Anyway, the point is he goes through a thing here where he talks about Tether.
Mastercoin was the first ICO.
Okay, so this guy's been involved in Mastercoin. Nothing happens to him there.
So Mastercoin is where the ICO was created. You know, that really was
you and I would be sued for billions or whatever.
Of 2013. Me and a couple of my partners were kind of one of the main contributors to the resources necessary to build out that protocol, which is a layer 2 on top of Bitcoin, and the first to tokenize that. Craig Sellers was CTO of Mastercoin, and so I, having had a background in PayPal and a lot of these sort of payment services, it seemed kind of obvious to me that 2/3 of the planet was on or underbanked, had limited access to financial services, and then you've got money remittance and all these cross-border transactional issues.
Okay, well, anyway, he goes through that. But here's the part he left out, and I put it up here because I thought it was important. Just so happens that Tether, the devs that created Tether, are Ukrainian.
It was basically the three of us and kind of the three of them, and we decided to co-collaborate. I brought in a dev team that was...
Sorry, mine doesn't have the elevator music that his video had, but I think mine has what matters.
Ukrainian that had made a Holy wallet, or what was called Holy transaction, out of plug and play. They were a dev team that had come over to the Bay Area and it wasn't working. And so they had come down to LA. I was creating a new company every 30, 60, 90 days.
Was that Ukrainian dev team sent by the government to come over here? That's my question.
I kind of incubated.
U.S. government?
And so that was a dev team kind of figuring out where to be plugged in. I said, Craig.
So let's not forget about Ukraine, folks, and we'll finish here. This dude laundered over $4 billion, most of which was USA tax dollars that went to the Ukraine, then to SBF at FTX. Then they quietly pushed it back into the Democrat Party. And look, it wasn't just Democrats, it was Republicans too. I don't care one way or other about the sides. I think a lot of them are corrupt on both sides. If you're wondering the judicial system is functioning perfectly for the elites, breaking: Biden administration quietly drops all charges against Sam Bankman. Fried crypto founder who stole $4 billion, gave half of it to the Democrat candidates, is now free as a bird. And at the same time, we've got the President of the United States, who is Operation Choke Point 2.0 to try to destroy the crypto industry. That's not offshore like FTX or Tether, that is. Just the crypto industry in the United States. Those things that are running offshore, those are fine. Those operate great, apparently, for the government. But now we've got the same guy, president behind Choke Point 2.0, who they're showing evidence, bank records, that he was being paid by Ukraine. Houston, we have a problem in this country, and crypto's not the problem. Corruption is. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that Tether was created by Ukrainian developers. They just happened to come over here to the Bay Area. Thanks for listening.